I used to work night shifts at a local public library in my early 20s. It was my second job, something I did a few evenings a week after finishing my main one. My shift started at 6 p.m. and ended when the library closed at 9. But the truth is, I never actually left at 9. I was always the one who stayed behind, locking the doors, shutting down the computers, cleaning up, putting books back on the shelves. And most nights, I was completely alone. At first, it didn't bother me. The library felt quiet, almost peaceful after everyone left. But that changed one Friday night. It was just before closing. Most of the staff had already gone home. The only other person there besides me was one of the librarians. I made the final announcements, letting everyone know the library was about to close. At exactly 9 p.m., the last few people packed up and walked out. The librarian said goodbye and left too. And just like that, I was alone. I locked the front doors and started going through my usual routine, straightening chairs, cleaning up, making sure everything was in order. Eventually, I gathered all the trash and took it outside to the dumpster. The building was tucked away from the main road, so it was always eerily quiet out there at night. When I came back inside, I locked the door behind me again. Now all that was left was putting away the returned books and DVDs. I started with the DVDs. That part was easy. It only took a few minutes. Then I grabbed the box of books and began shelving them one by one. Everything felt normal until I heard it. A sound somewhere between the aisles. I froze for a second, listening. Silence. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe a book shifting, maybe something falling on its own. Still, I went to check. As I walked through the aisles, I found a book lying open on the floor. It looked like it had just fallen. I picked it up and put it back, trying to ignore the uneasy feeling building in my chest. Then I went back to work. A few minutes passed, and then I heard it again. Another noise, this time louder and closer. That's when it hit me. This wasn't random. Something or someone was still inside. I slowly set the box down and walked out into the open area. "Hello?" I called. "The library is closed." For a moment, there was nothing. Then, from across the building, near the children's section, I heard something. A strange sound, low, uneven, almost like growling. My stomach dropped. I started walking toward it, each step slower than the last. The sound got clearer the closer I got. It didn't sound human, not at first. Then I turned into one of the aisles and saw her. A woman wearing what looked like a nightgown. She was standing there, violently pulling books off the shelves and throwing them onto the floor, making these disturbing, animal-like noises. I didn't say a word. I didn't ask anything. I just turned and ran. I ran straight to the office, slammed the door shut, and locked it. My hands were shaking as I grabbed the phone and dialed 911. I told them there was someone inside the library, that she didn't look right, that she might be dangerous. They asked if I had tried talking to her. I said no. There was no way I was going back out there. Then the operator asked me if I could still see her. I hesitated, then slowly reached for the blinds on the library window, and the second I pulled them open, I screamed. She was right there, standing on the other side of the glass, just staring at me.
Her eyes, they didn't look normal. Her pupils were so wide, she almost didn't look human. I stumbled back, telling the operator she was right outside the door. Then she started banging on the glass, hard, screaming complete gibberish. She grabbed the handle and tried to open the door, but it was locked. For a moment, I thought the glass might shatter. But then, she suddenly stopped, turned around, and slowly sat down in a chair facing the office, just watching me. The operator told me to keep an eye on her. Those next few minutes felt like hours. She barely moved, just sat there, swaying slightly, staring at the door like she was waiting. Finally, I heard sirens, police cars, and an ambulance. The moment they came in, she snapped. She started fighting them, screaming, thrashing, but nothing she said made any sense. They restrained her and took her out on a stretcher. And just like that, she was gone. I never found out who she was, or what she was on, or how she even got inside. Maybe she slipped in while I was taking the trash out. Or maybe she had been there the whole time, hidden somewhere in the building, waiting. After that night, being alone in the library never felt the same again.
When I think back to my childhood, most memories are blurry, but this one is painfully clear. I must have been around 5 or 6. My mom used to take my little brother and me to the local library all the time. It was only a few blocks away, and to me, it always felt like a safe place. That day, we had gone to the mall first. I remember getting ice cream from McDonald's, and I was still holding the cone when we walked into the library. There was a small kids' computer section where my mom would let me play games while she did her own thing. After a while, I got bored and wandered off to look for my favorite books, the I Spy ones. The kids' section was in the far corner of the library, quiet, almost too quiet. I was walking between the shelves when I heard something behind me, a soft noise. I turned around, but there was nothing there, just a wall and another bookshelf. Then I saw it. Half of a man's face slowly peeking out from behind the shelf. Peekaboo. I remember laughing. At that age, nothing felt dangerous. It just felt like a game. He did it again, disappeared behind the shelf, then popped back out. Peekaboo. I laughed again. He asked me what I was looking for, and I told him the I Spy books. He smiled and said he'd help me find them. Without thinking twice, I let him take my hand. He led me through the aisles until we reached the section with the books I wanted. There were a bunch of them lined up. I grabbed my favorite one, the treasure hunt one. Then he said, "Let's go sit down and play." We sat at a table near the computers and started flipping through the pages. At first, it felt normal, almost fun. But then, he started asking questions. Simple ones at first, then more personal ones. The one I still remember the most was, "Who are you here with?" I told him my mom and my little brother. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but now I realize exactly why he asked that. After a while, he said something that changed everything. He told me there was a playroom downstairs. I had no idea there even was a downstairs. He said we could take the book there. and I followed him.
He led me to a door that went down into the basement. The stairs were dimly lit, and it felt colder down there. At the bottom, there was a small room with toys, a Lego table, some chairs, things like that. He put the book down and tried to get me to play with the toys. That's when something started to feel wrong. I didn't know why. I couldn't explain it, but I didn't feel comfortable anymore. Right then, over the loudspeaker, I heard a woman's voice. "Will Liam please come to the front? Your mother is looking for you." My name. The second I heard that, everything shifted. The man walked over to the lights and turned them off. The room went completely dark. "We're going to play hide and seek," he said. That's when fear hit me for the first time. Real fear. I started calling for my mom, but he kept telling me to be quiet. His voice was getting louder, closer. I could hear him moving in the dark. Then I felt his hands on me. That was it. Instinct took over. I shoved past him and ran. I ran out of that room, into the dark hallway, and straight for the stairs. I remember that feeling, the kind you get as a kid when you run up basement stairs after turning off the lights. Except this time, it was 100 times worse, because I knew something was behind me. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. I ran all the way upstairs and into the main library, screaming for my mom. She was already at the front desk with a group of librarians. The moment she saw me, the look on her face changed instantly. I told her everything, about the man, about the basement. She completely lost it. Within minutes, there were police officers searching the entire building, but they never found him. He was gone. He must have slipped out through another exit. I remember being asked questions by someone, probably the police, but everything after that felt like a blur. It's strange. I don't remember most of my childhood clearly, but I remember that moment in the dark, his voice getting closer, and the feeling that if I hadn't run when I did, something really bad would have happened.
I went to the library that night just to study. I had no idea someone was watching me the entire time, and before midnight, I'd be running for my life. Back in university, I was doing a double major, 6 classes every semester, plus an internship. My life was basically just stress and deadlines. That night was a Wednesday. After 3 classes and a full shift at my internship, I went straight to the campus library around 9 p.m. It was still pretty busy when I got there, but I knew how it worked. After 10, the place would slowly empty out, and that's when it became the perfect place to focus. By 11 p.m., most people had already left. I was sitting at a table tucked between 2 tall bookshelves, kind of hidden away from the rest of the room. It felt quiet, maybe a little too quiet. That's when he walked in. There were plenty of empty tables, but for some reason he chose mine. He sat diagonally across from me. I glanced up for a second, and he was already looking at me, smiling. Something about it felt off, but I told myself I was overthinking it and went back to studying. A few minutes later, he leaned forward slightly and said, "Hey, are you taking an economics class?" I told him no, thinking that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. He kept talking, going on about his professor and his class, things I never asked about. It didn't feel like a normal conversation. It felt forced, like he was just trying to keep me engaged. Then I started to notice something worse. Every time I looked up, he was already staring at me, not casually, just staring. Then he asked for my name. I hesitated for a second, then gave him a fake one, Chelsea. He smiled and said, "You have really beautiful eyes, Chelsea." That's when a cold feeling hit me. He wasn't there to study. So I decided to test him. I asked him for his professor's name. He paused for a second, just a little too long, then said, "Professor Davis." I immediately opened my laptop and looked it up. There was no economics professor with that name, not even close. My heart started beating faster. He was lying about everything. I didn't say anything. I just quietly gathered my things and walked straight to the security guard at the front of the library. I told him what was going on, and he came back with me. When the guard asked for the guy's student ID, he started checking his pockets, then his wallet, then said he must have left it in his dorm. The guard asked which dorm he lived in, and the guy just stood there. He couldn't answer.
That was all it took. The guard escorted him out of the building. I should have left right then, but I didn't. I sat back down, trying to convince myself everything was fine, but I couldn't focus anymore. Every small sound made me look up. Every shadow felt like it was moving. Around midnight, I finally packed my things and left. The campus was almost completely empty. No one really walks around that late during the week. It was quiet, too quiet. I was about halfway to my dorm when I heard it. A footstep behind me. I stopped and turned around. There was no one there. For a second, I thought maybe I imagined it, but then I started walking again, and I heard it again. Another step. This time, I didn't stop. I just started walking faster. Then the footsteps got faster too. That's when I started to panic. I broke into a run, and right behind me, I heard running. I turned my head for just a second, and my stomach dropped. It was him. He was sprinting straight at me. I screamed and tried to run faster, but I didn't get far. He tackled me to the ground and covered my mouth with his hand. I tried to scream again, but it came out muffled. "Stay quiet," he whispered, "or I'll kill you." In that moment, I genuinely thought I was going to die. He pulled me up and started dragging me off the path toward a darker area near the trees. I was struggling, trying to get free, but he was stronger. Somehow, I managed to pull his hand away from my mouth for just a second, and I screamed as loud as I could. And that scream saved my life. Two guys nearby heard me and came running, yelling at him to stop. The second he saw them, he let go of me and ran. I just collapsed there, shaking, barely able to process what had just happened. I couldn't hear anything they were saying. Everything felt distant. They called campus police, and later they checked the campus cameras. They got a clear image of his face. That same night, someone reported seeing him at a bar near campus. He was arrested. I still think about that night sometimes, about how normal it started and how close it came to ending in a completely different way. If I hadn't screamed, or if those two guys hadn't been there, I probably wouldn't be here telling this story.